When I was 15 years old, when I first saw Mrs. Doubtfire, I perceived a man that was willing to go to any length to see his children. And as a 15-year-old young kid, that really hit me because when I was 5, my parents separated. And I would spend the rest of my childhood into my adulthood seeing my dad around twice a year. All the things he missed, all the time we missed, I really aligned with the message that here's a man that will do anything to see his kids, even dress up as an old woman. I would do that if I was a dad, right? And I think a lot of fathers who saw that movie probably thought the same thing, that they would go to any length for their kids. And I feel that that's what a father should do. But the thing that I think was missed, and this is my opinion, and I didn't perceive this at the age of 15, and I do now, is that this movie was released as a comedy. But I believe that the underlying tone and the underlying issues of this movie are much darker. And that that message wasn't as at the forefront as much because it was masked by comedy. It was masked by Robin Williams' ability to make us laugh. And the line was really blurry in this movie because Daniel Hilliard was the main character, not Robin Williams. Robin Williams wore a mask. But nobody probably thought of Daniel Hilliard in my last video when I asked you who you thought of when I said Mrs. Doubtfire. And being a father, my perception of what this movie really spoke to is completely different. Because here is the truth of what that movie was about. Daniel Hilliard had a job as a voiceover actor, basically. And he has a moment of reckoning where he's not willing to say certain lines in this cartoon because children will see this, right? If you don't remember, it's a cartoon of a bird smoking a cigarette or something. Anyway, he says, I can't do this. That's not responsible. Okay? And he quits. Then there's a scene where he throws a birthday party for his son against his wife's wishes because of his son's poor grades. And there is wild animals in the house, around the house, and unsupervised children everywhere, running around outside in the house. And at the time when I saw the movie, I thought, what a cool party. What a great dad. I don't see it that way anymore. What I see now is a very irresponsible dad. Unsupervised little kids running around with wild animals all over the place. That's not responsible. That's not really funny to me anymore as a father. But I perceived him as a cool dad then, and I'm sure a lot of kids did. Then they have a blowout. Miranda says she wants a divorce. And Robin Williams, portraying Daniel Hilliard, is told that he needs to get a job in 3 months, secure a place of residence to consider joint custody. So what does Robin Williams, portraying Daniel Hilliard, end up doing? Finds out Miranda's taking out an ad for someone to watch the children. And when she doesn't seem open necessarily to the idea of him watching the children because of what he's done, he takes the ad from her and he manipulates the phone number. He intentionally deceives his wife so that no one else can call in about the job. And that's when Robin Williams, that's where the line blurs. That's when Robin Williams takes over. And we see this smorgasbord of portrayals of different characters by Robin Williams, and we all have a good laugh, don't we? But we forget. I didn't realize when I was younger that he's in the process of finding another mask to step into to deceive his family. That's what happened. He employs the help of Uncle Frank and Aunt Jack to help. He employs family to help him deceive his most immediate family. And this is perpetual through the whole rest of the movie. Until his son walks in on him going to the bathroom and realizes, wait a minute, this isn't an old woman. And that's when Daniel's son and daughter find out that it's really their dad. And you can tell that his son has sort of a problem with that and he doesn't want to hug him, but it's chalked up to it's a guy thing rather than it's a trauma thing. It's a trauma thing that Dad's been living in this house with us and we didn't think it was Dad. We thought it was an old woman. That's a trauma thing. That's not just a guy thing. The line blurs. I want you to understand this. He tells his oldest children to not tell their sister, who's 5, and to not tell their mother. He then employs his 2 oldest children to continue to deceive his youngest daughter and his wife. That's what happened. That's the reality of the movie. But in between these really heavy scenes are moments of comedy where Mrs. Doubtfire's dancing around to Dude Looks Like a Lady by Aerosmith. Those are the moments that take away from the seriousness of what the underlying issues are of this movie. Deceit. Daniel Hilliard's boss at that dinner at the end of the movie is witness to the deception that Daniel has been perpetuating against his family. He witnesses how his youngest daughter didn't know that that was Dad, and how his wife didn't know that was her husband, and the further trauma that induces in front of a whole bunch of people they don't know. I know this isn't comfortable to talk about, but I want to talk about real things. And that's the reality of what this movie was. It was funny, but I believe the comedy was used in a lot of ways to mask the underlying issue. That I don't really believe it was a movie that was a comedy necessarily, but that comedy was used to mask really serious issues that got overlooked by a lot of people, I think. And I want to ask all of you this as I close. If you had been Daniel Hilliard, do you think your ending in that movie would have been having your own show on network television, stepping into the same mask that you used to deceive your entire family, your youngest 5-year-old daughter? Do you think you would have had that job? Do you think your boss would have said, sure, great idea? Or do you think you would have been unemployed? Because I don't think you would have had a job anymore. And I don't think you would have been seeing your children anymore, at least not that much, because you had just spent the whole movie deceiving all of them intentionally, purposefully, because you didn't want to get a job doing something else. This was the easy route, to dress up as an old woman. But I know, it's a comedy. It's make-believe. It's a mask. Until you realize that when you think of Robin Williams when I say Mrs. Doubtfire, instead of Daniel Hilliard, and you think of him because of the comedic genius that he was, that blurs the line of what the movie was really about. And the movie was really about deception of your family.